Afternoon, everybody. CJ Sky live with the Joe Rogan Review. Today, my guest is none other than Ron Freeman. How you doing, Ron?
Doing good, brother.
Good, man. Looking sharp. Looking sharp.
Work day.
Work day. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Kind of know both sides of the field. Like I said, I grew up, started in the inner city where a lot of my family, cousins, things of that nature. In Detroit, at all places, a pretty rough city with that. So probably at the time, and probably still is with the roughest you can get. And then, my dad climbed up the ladder and got successful. And then we gradually moved out to the suburbs and stuff. So then, a lot of my friends were, Caucasian. So I was over Little Billy's house eating apple pie for breakfast with the family, the kids and things of that nature, and kind of saw how that was. And then when I had a choice, when I got a little older, all my original friends and cousins were kind of back in the inner city. So I kind of, went back that way, kind of hang out with them, on the weekends, and what they were going through is the nature. And then I went off to college and then got another experience with that, with a majority white college. And
where'd you go to school?
And seeing University of Michigan.
Okay.
So, seeing that demographic and seeing how, all the kids kind of migrated in a college, way where, they have no supervision for the first time and they can kind of be as wild as they want to be. And I was in a mix of all that. So,
right.
And then now, like I said, I work, kind of corporate America, got my own, side business and stuff. From a political standpoint, I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I voted for both in the past. So I kind of, politically wise, I kind of see both sides of that field too. So
yeah, I'm the same way. From college, you went. Did you move to Houston from there?
No, for college, I took my first job in St. Louis. So got a chance to kind of see what's going on, and I've moved a lot even before then. I went to like probably about 5 different colleges in 5 different states.
Oh wow!
Because my dad's job was just moving, promoting so fast, so we just moved with it. So I got to see, a lot of kids in a lot of different demographics, areas and things of that nature. I got to be the new kid. I got to be a popular
kind of like
kid.
A military kid.
Yeah, so gotta catch on quick. Luckily, sports is like you said, is an international melting pot. So if you're good at sports, you automatically had 5 friends on the basketball team. You automatically had 10 friends on the football team. You automatically had, because it's just you were a jock. So that translates wherever you go. So
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so easy to meet people that way and things of that nature. And I always gotta have an open minded, personality. So
right.
That worked in my favor too. Yeah, I moved to St. Louis and then I got promoted here to Houston and been there ever since.
How long you been in Houston?
About 14 years now.
Okay. Houston's a very interesting city. It reminds me of Chicago in a lot of ways as to how diverse it is. Have you ever been to Chicago?
Yeah, I lived there for a little bit.
Yeah, so in Chicago we have like all of the different neighborhoods. We have a lot of the Polish in one area. I mean, it's almost like 7 different cities within one city. And there's also, like, we're in Chicago, people kind of stay in their area, in their little town. Houston kind of becomes a melting pot. Everybody kind of congregates for festivals and just nightlife and everything. You see everybody in the same area. I've moved back and forth a couple times, but when back then when I was a kid, it was just all cowboys and pickup trucks, oil guys. Lived in Las Vegas, and obviously with my work, I've been in Vegas a ton over 14 years, and I've seen Vegas transform itself probably 3 different times to survive, and you've seen that with Houston. And my brother-in-law, Andy, TJND, I'm not sure if you know him. He's kind of the Spanish Colombian crowd. He was one of the big DJs there. before he moved to LA. Now he's out in Hollywood and DJing. But just kind of fit right in. I went in, and our group is about a group of 10 to 12, and we were all so diverse and from so many different places. You wouldn't get that in Chicago, I can tell you.
You don't think you'll get that mix in Chicago as a Midwest city?
DJ club atmosphere, you don't really get that mix in Chicago anymore.
I think from that aspect of Houston, it's still pretty segregated. I got friends from Michigan, from Vegas, from New York, and they come to visit me a lot, and I'm big in the nightlife scene in Houston. And they'll say, they're black people, and they go, hey, I want to go. I said, where y'all want to go? And the first thing I ask is, for Houston is, what crowd do you want to be around, basically? And they say, hey, we want a mixed crowd. And I say, hey, it doesn't exist. You can go to the Hispanic spot. We can go to the black spot. We can go to the Asian spot. We can go to the Caucasian spot with a few sprinkles. But the mixed spot that you guys are thinking in your head, that Miami mix, that California mix, that Vegas, that New York, some of the Midwest cities have it. We never had it. We've had promoters try it. It never 100% worked from that aspect. And
man,
I'm talking about true mix, true diverse. We've had it on Sunday Fun Day. Like Sunday Fun Day probably is our biggest mix situation because everybody, it's just a staple of the city, and everybody kind of goes out and kind of enjoys it there. But that's the only time that the people, and this is coming from other people that has visited me and traveled. It's the only time they said that they've seen a really mixed crowd.
You do a lot. I mean, Houston's a weird city for a major city. Again, like I said, the fourth largest city in the country. In the nightlife, as far as the legal bar nightlife shuts down at 2, which is really early for a city like that. And people don't really go anywhere till midnight. Nobody shows up. So the real things happening are the after hours in Houston. That's where really people go, from that midnight or 2 to 6 in the morning or 8 in the morning. And I don't know. I just have seen. I see a really diverse. For instance, the group that I kind of got brought into with DJ and D, that wouldn't. It's just such a, like I said, diverse group from even people from other countries. And everybody, I didn't feel that it was diverse, really. We just all were just Houstonians. And so if you think that, Houston's bad for separation, you definitely would think Chicago is these days.
And actually, and with Houston, it's not a racial situation per se. It's more of a choice. Like I said, the black people, they might go to the spot like the address or some things of that nature, and it's a choice. They can go anywhere they want for the most part, and be fine. Like you said, it wouldn't be a situation where they're feeling uncomfortable, made to feel uncomfortable, but they choose to hang out there. Same with Hispanic people on a Hispanic night, they can go wherever they want. They choose to go there. I've seen 20 white people go up to, like we did this black event on Fridays in Capitol, and the spot next door was a white spot. They closed down, so they went and heard the music and they were chipping in. And I said, "Yeah, come on in, have a drink, whatever." And the promoter let them in free, brought them in, and they stayed all night, had a good time. They could always do that. It was just a choice that they go to their own, the spot that they feel more comfortable.
I think one of the big things that you'll see at where everybody comes together, and you did not see that 14 years ago or see that when I was a kid, is the Houston Rodeo. You got a month long of a huge carnival and concerts downtown, and it was nothing but white cowboys when I was a kid, and even 14 years ago you wouldn't have seen a lot of that. But it is very diverse now. And I like
they changed the mixing now. It's a more diverse group of acts.
Yeah,
the concert acts are more diverse.
Yeah, sure. So if anybody listened to the show last night with DePaul St. James, we were talking about tonight's show and how it came to be. So I posted just honestly, and I don't typically post political stuff in support of police, and I didn't really look at it or dig into it, and I, you know, to the listeners of the show, I really shouldn't have posted the video without looking into it. I did, and so that sparked a conversation with you and on my Facebook and a lot of other people. Um, so we kind of got into talking, I guess, a little bit about the Black Lives Matter and that movement. And so, can you kind of tell me, like, really where your stance is on that?
My stance on I guess the Black Lives Matter is most of us can't name a member in Black Lives Matter. So like we know people in NAACP, we know people in Urban League, we know people in black fraternities and things of that nature. We don't know a Black Lives Matter member. We do agree with, as black people, is black lives do matter as much as anybody else's, and we can get ahead with the saying of that. And we agree with, like I said, we agree with the title. We don't know a lot about the organization. We joined a lot of the protests and the marching and stuff like that because it gets to the point, like I said, it's just been too many instances in a row going on. So like, you have a police incident with a black person one time, the media takes off with it, you know, we get mad, but we let it go. You get 3 of them happen in a row, like they have, and you put people's backs up against the wall, and you put a lot of people's backs up against the wall that don't have that much to lose, and you're gonna get a riot, you're gonna get protesting, and our government knows this. They know you're gonna only push us so far, you know, in one direction, and you have to correct it, and they didn't, and they didn't the last time that we went through this with when it was Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, all that stuff was going all in a row, bang, 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 bang. You can't let it get like that, and that sparked, you know, that started that movement. But this movement is a little different because I think a lot of white people, a lot of Hispanic people, a lot of other people are fed up too with it. They're like, come on, man, you know, enough's enough. Like, we've been dealing with this all our lives. We've seen, you know, kind of disparity between this black thing, and you guys are not doing anything about it. And now it's just not getting any better. And we're all kind of sick of it now. So that's why you have white people joining in this march and things of that nature. And then it was kind of that way back with the freedom marchers, you know, back in the day, Martin Luther King Day, stuff like that. They just had enough. Like, man, come on. Like, how much is a group supposed to take? You've already put them through all this. Now you just, you know, you kick them when they're down. You know what I mean? That nobody likes that. You know, you beat a guy up or you wrestle him, you're down, you win, and you just walk away and you kick him, you know, for no reason. That's just a dirty play. And I think a lot of people were feeling that way with events going back to back and back. And that's what started all this tension. But, you know what I mean? Black people have been looking for an opportunity like this to kind of speak on it for so long. And because, like I said, racism in America for a black person every day, it's draining on your mental. That's the part you don't get. You see the physicalness from, you know, the cop killings and you see the poverty and, you know, from the economic differences and things of that nature. What you don't see is the psychological drain. And I think, you know, that takes a toll on us. And, you know, we don't say anything about it, but it takes a toll on us. And, you know, a lot of us need therapy for it and can't afford it or don't get into that situation or can't really talk our way through it. And, you know, it comes out another way. So.
Sure. I actually last night with DePaul St. James, and it always existed and existed worse over, you know, during our history. There just wasn't a camera on every corner, and everybody didn't have a camera on their cell phone, so we didn't, you know, we didn't catch it. I mean, could you imagine in the 1960s and early 70s if everybody would have had a cell phone in, you know, in Alabama? What we would have saw. So I think the incidences have, you know, are definitely few and far between. I have a lot of friends and people in my family that are police officers, and in the, you know, the majority of it is, you know, they're all pretty good guys, and, you know, they just want to go home at the end of the night just like anybody else. And I think the mental strain they go through, especially now, they go to work and they don't know maybe they won't come home. If they choose to take that shot and have to take somebody down, you definitely have to have a worry in their back of their mind that they may go to prison over it, even if it's the right thing, just because of what the media power that the media has. Um, you know, it's I definitely don't think defunding the police is the answer. We
But
actually on
I
our
feel
show.
like I understand what you're saying with the police, but here's the thing with the police. A lot of these incidents, they got backup, they got guns, they're armed. There's 3-on-1, 4-on-1. There's people around. I mean, let's really look at what some police officers really are. Because I know, because I remember when I was struggling as a kid at 19 before I went out to college and stuff like that, I was offered a job with the police department. There's no way I was mature enough or would have been able to handle that job. But they went and recruited me and people like me. GED having, you know what I mean, regular people that didn't really have high self-esteem and stuff or anything, and wanted us to be police officers to protect this. You know, we weren't no heroes. We were the kids that couldn't get to Stanford or Harvard. You know what I mean? We were those kids at the time. And, you know, luckily I got my stuff together. But what I'm saying, some of these police officers that are on there are average people. Some, you know, were bullied. You know what I mean? Things like that. Some have different kind of issues in their own head too. Never got any therapy for it. Never worked through their own issues and things of that nature. And now you give them a gun,
Which is why a lot of departments have went away from hiring veterans. That used to be all they wanted to hire was veterans, and now
well, veterans are good. I think veterans are well trained in those situations.
They're well trained in those situations, but they also have a lot of psyche issues and PTSD, which is where you run into PTSD from being in the military, or PTSD from being abused as a kid, or being a young white kid who grew up in Cabrini Green in Chicago. You have PTSD, and those aren't the people that you want. And there was a time in our history where those were the people that they generally hired. It's
Tell me about a white. Explain to me about that, because I'm real big on logistics because I moved so much and I lived in so many different areas. A white kid from Bikini Green. Mm-hmm. You think he has psychological issues?
Absolutely.
When it comes to this, because I grew up with white kids in Detroit, hard parts of Detroit, and I tell you what, they have been through stuff and they were picked on and they were all that, but they understand. And a lot of them are the most non-racial people that you ever meet in your life, even though they were bullied.
I'm definitely the most non-racial person that you're going to meet in your life. My group of friends and family are diverse as they get. So but you do come away. You have to overcome, and you do have to come away with a certain understanding. And put it aside. You experience a lot of racism as a white kid in project. Just like, I will say, just like, a black person will experience. A white person coming from the project, they've experienced that. They have a good understanding of what the general population of black people go through. So just saying, that may not generally always be kid that you want to put on a police department at 20 years old, put through the academy. I worked at a police department just outside of Chicago for about 2 years. And it's you're young, and Illinois actually is one of the few states that you do not have to have at least a 2-year degree. So basically, like you said, have a GED and they'll put you on a police department. At least in Texas, you have to have at least a 2-year degree. So I think that we need to look, in that matter, is that I think for one, they should not be hiring 21-year-olds to be police officers. I think 25 should definitely be the minimum, and they should definitely have a college degree. And the point of having that education and talking about how you mentioned the highly trained military people. So these 25, or we say that they're at 25, are defunding them. Well, not defunding them, it's moving the funds to pay for more training. That's what they need. And that's what I was going to get to.
Well, they need to pay more salary. Nobody wants. I don't want to do. I don't want to. Like they talk about. Okay, well, more black people need to sign up to be police. And they're already, we don't want to do that job. I don't want to do it for that pay. It's not to me. It's not a fun job for the pay that it is. It's not worth it. To me, you would have to be doing it for some other reason. And some of those reasons are good reasons. You get a good Samaritan.
Well, so what pay are you talking about? What do you think a police officer makes?
I mean, from what I heard they start off maybe like around the 40 range or things of that nature. And I guess they can work their way up in different departments and things of that nature. But to risk your life, to deal with, different stuff every day, and they work hard, they work the hours and things of that nature. They're always on call. You have second thoughts about doing something wrong and losing your job. If your
today,
job is
definitely. Today, definitely. Yeah. I mean, today, there's no way in a million years that you would get me to be a police officer. I have the utmost respect. Like I said, I got brother and nephew and friend. I mean, cousins. There's absolutely no way that there's not enough amount of money that you can pay me to do it. There's a lot of people that do want to do it, and I think there's a misconception. There's a wide spectrum of what police officers make, because there's some really small towns that have one or two officers, and then they can't get paid enough, which I think is completely reverse. You have an officer who is working in a small town, and he's by himself at 2:00 in the morning, and he has no backup, and he's making $30,000 a year. That's insane. You got a guy who has plenty of backup, and yeah, he's dealing with more, and there is more. So I just don't think that there should be that much of a gap between what those two police officers would make. Now, after most departments, it's 2 years, and then you can apply for like a K-9 officer, or you move up into the corporal status or whatever. And there's a lot of officers around this area that make upwards of $90,000 to $100,000 a year. That's pretty good for any job.
It's very good. I bet you if you check those officers' records, they're not risking putting on, on investigation or things of that nature, and risk losing a six-figure job over a traffic stop. Or somebody calling them a name. Yeah, they're going to be a little more poised about it, because they're like, man, I got a family to feed. I'm doing well. It'd be the same like with my job or anything else. You know what I mean? Like if you're getting paid a lot, you're gonna pay more attention to that job. If you're not, you're gonna be like, I can replace this job anywhere with what they're paying me, so I don't really care that much.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the third thing in our restructuring of our police is that we have to get them away from having one negative interaction with the public, and interaction with the public that puts them and the public in dangerous situations. Making traffic stops because somebody goes past a stop sign or a stoplight, that's insane. There is much worse crime. You look at the city of Chicago, and more people last year died in Chicago than they did in Iraq. Counter argument to that from politicians is that a lot of stops and busts come off of traffic stops. Well, yeah, so you bust them with some drugs that we brought into the country. That's why we have a narcotics division. Let the narcotics division take that person down in the right way. Don't get into a traffic stop where you have possibly he runs and you're chasing him, and several.
It is. That's not the truth, CJ. These stops are not happening in the bad parts of Chicago. Cops don't go there. When I lived in a bad part of Detroit, we used to call the cops dinosaurs because they didn't exist. We ran red lights, and we didn't worry about the cops. They weren't there. So you act like cops are just going in Chicago, stopping the violence. They're not. That's why black people were talking about defunding the police, because they were like, man, you're not helping us. So why are you just leave us alone then? Like, you know what I mean? Just let us be if you're not going to help us, because you're not helping anybody in the inner city. You're not going to the inner city taking the real criminals and the gangsters and things of that nature. They're not risking their lives and their over a $50,000 paycheck, you know what I mean, to go down there. So they're not doing that. They're letting that be where it be. And they're picking on lighter work. But yeah, they're not going down there to that side. Trust me, I barely see cops down there. You have different divisions that would go.
I mean, what is any side, any traffic stop on any side is the city of Chicago, for instance, last year there's 490,000 traffic stops. They're definitely doing traffic stops. And
No, they're doing a traffic stop. I get that part, but I'm saying when you were talking about the crime and the violence part of those bad areas, they're not going down there like you know what I mean, messing with gangsters and things of that
well,
nature
yeah,
on a
but
daily.
the issue of the city of Chicago is there is no good part of Chicago anymore. The whole city is, I mean, basically a war zone. It's not like, typically I get mad at the media because they'll show one street or one area where it's the worst. They do that like with Houston. They'll show, it's one thing in Houston that happened on 2 blocks, and everybody thinks that's Houston. Houston is huge, and there's lots of great parts in the city of Houston. We do not have that in the city of Chicago anymore. There is no safe place in the city of Chicago. You can't walk in a park with your child in Chicago. We just had a 7-year-old girl who got hit by a stray bullet at a bus stop in a good part of Chicago. So in the last March 2 years ago, I think it was Mike Brown or Trayvon Martin, when they had the march, they didn't march in the bad area of Chicago. They came right down the Millennium Mile and destroyed the shopping mecca of Chicago. So Chicago is definitely not a typical city that we can bring up, but you can talk about like a city that's just outside of Chicago. It's a suburb, city of Rockford. It has a higher crime rate per capita than Chicago, higher violent crime rate than per capita of Chicago. There's only 290,000 people that live there, so there's tons of traffic stops happening there, and still in a bad area. And if you look at the shootings that have happened, was it Mike? No, it wasn't Mike Brown. There was one last year where the kid got out of the car and the cop got out and chased him and ended up just shot him in the back. Somebody somehow had gotten this on tape, but he was running away and he just shot him. I mean, it was from a traffic stop. I'm just saying, Austin, it's not just about the traffic stop and just about how you could get, what comes from that traffic stop or the risk that comes from that traffic stop. It's that police officers be doing more things, better things, like catching murderers and infiltrating gangs and doing the things that really matter. And the other side of that is we get such a negative view of the police because of all the petty crap. You got these guys that are pulling you over for just BS, and the public just gets this bad taste of what Chicago, what they are. When you drive, as definitely as a black man driving anywhere, when you see a police officer behind you, your heart skips a little bit. Majority of the people, you know what I mean? So we have to get rid of that, man. That has to go away.
Can't get rid of that because on the flip side of that, when that cop comes at the door, he's looking, he goes, he's first thing he's seeing is my color, black person, and then stuff's wintering in his head. Yeah. It's right away, before he said a word to me, before he found out anything about me, what I was doing there and stuff like that. Black person, he's speaking in the mic. You can hear it in the car. We have a black person pulled over such to this corner, you know what I mean? And then he's coming with a whole different demeanor than if he sees you or coming with you because of a comfortability standpoint.
Sure. What if it's a black cop? Do you think they feel the same way when they pull over somebody? Do you think they have those same thoughts?
Not as much because it's I think a black cop, okay, let's say, so a black cop would be a little different. So let's say a black cop gets out the car. Now, if he sees a person that he retrieves white, black, or Hispanic that looks dangerous or dressed in a certain type of way and things of that nature, he's going to be a little more on guard and things of that nature because he grew up most likely in that, in the side of town where he's exposed to those people. If he sees a white person, he's not that scared, to tell you the truth. Like he doesn't have a fear factor on him because he knows worst case scenario, when this turns to a fight, he might win the fight. You know what I mean? He might, you know what I mean? We don't have a natural, if he's in a power situation, we don't have a natural fear of white people. We just, as a black hole, we just kind of don't in that aspect, in a physical aspect. The white cop might, you know what I mean? He might say, hey, this guy's, he might be in a three-piece suit. He's dangerous. I don't want to get in a situation where, I'm fighting with this guy. I don't know if I can win. I'm going to be more cautious. And he's going to treat you, even if he's not racist, he's going to treat you in a different manner than if it's a person that he feels that he grew up with, that he's more, understanding with. Okay, I know what this guy's about. Da 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 da. I can put my gun down. I can talk to him and find out what's going on and things of that nature. It's just a comfortability factor, and that's the part that I think people don't they don't discuss. Prime example. I'm a big advocate of affirmative action, and people get on me all the time about it and say, "Oh my God, what affirmative action? How? If a person that's racism, reverse racism, what they say. They go, oh, if a white person disqualified a black person, then let the best person get the job." And I said, true, I agree with that 100%. But you don't understand that you already go into the situation with the advantage. We're trying to curb that advantage because if I go in for a job interview, I'm walking by the white secretary, I'm walking by the white boardrooms, and I'm going in and taking a interview with probably 3 or 4 white people in there most of the time. Yeah. Let's reverse it. Let's say it was all black people there. I'm gonna come in like, hey, what's up, Keisha? Like your hair? How's your brother been? I'm going there. What's up, my brother? I'm gonna feel more comfortable getting that job than with you in the field. You came here with all black staff and things of that nature because of the relatability. Because of, hey, we have more stuff in common. I grew up with white people, and there's been times where I've been interviewed and they brought up something and I didn't get the joke, or I didn't, I didn't understand it because of the comfortability aspect of it. And this is me, and I've been around, all my life. So sure, that comfortability to be able to make that rapport, that's the difference. And that's where I say you need affirmative action in order to curb that, because if not, that person's gonna have an advantage no matter what, even though they are more qualified than them every time they walk into it, because it's still about personal relationships. And that's the scheme of
hold that thought. We got to take a quick break for a commercial, and then we'll be right back. Okay.
White's Contender Series, you have the opportunity to show us what you got. The next prospect, future champions on display. We have to do what we should to survive. Being homeless, find that, put a roof over our head. Getting this USC contract will mean everything for me. Winning a contract would change my life. I've been chasing this for a long, long time. Nothing's gonna stop me.
Welcome back, folks. CJ Sky Live. I am on with Ron Freeman tonight. We are discussing the black and cultural divide in America and the racism and all of that we're dealing with that you see every day on TV. You were talking about affirmative action. I pose the question to you is, what's the number one thing facing a young black man coming up in America?
Well, yeah, right now we're going through something that we haven't been through in this country since I've been born, and things of that nature. It's a different settlement right now. A year from now and stuff, we're back in the same situation. You know what I mean? Because we're not fixing the problem. We're not fixing the problem. Yeah. We're just
let's hope that we're moving towards a different era in our country, and we don't go back. I definitely could see in a month that it could go back, but let's hope that, like I said, I said to you on Facebook, and I said last night on our broadcast, is we have a lot of little things that we're not going to agree on, but the big thing is that we need to agree on is that we're one, and we have to find a way to do that. What is your feeling on Colin Kaepernick?
He took a protest stand for it. And I think it exposed actually how racial the NFL really is, and how they kind of see their players and kind of how they manage their business. I think it exposed a lot of situations within that. I don't think the protest has anything to do about the anthem. Like I said, black people support the military. We fought in every single war America's ever had, even when we were slaves. We've always been pro, military situation. Like I said, the whole thing of taking a knee even came from a military person. At first, he just wasn't standing up. Like, I'm just gonna sit down. So I don't think it's that. I think people kind of took it the wrong way because it's a control mechanism. They say, okay, if these guys are still standing for our anthem in our country after all the stuff we've done, we still in control of the situation.
So you support kneeling for the national anthem?
Here's the thing right here. We're dealing with systematic racism. And here's the problem. We never fixed it. We have not fixed it since 400 years ago in slavery. Name a time where we actually sat down and fixed the situation. It hasn't. It's kept going and going and going in different forms. And we've never set back. This is probably the first time I've seen us actually set back and even correct some of the historical stuff, or saying, hey, let's get this Aunt your mama off the serve. And let's let's at least not torment these black people every day. And then happen to see Confederate flags of slavery. You tell them to forget about slavery, but then you fly a Confederate flag around them every day. Or if they went to the University of Mississippi and played football, they got to salute it with the American flag when it's up. You know what I mean? But you tell them every day, oh, slavery was 300 years ago. Forget about that. Even though it still affects everything that goes on in America today, economically and things of that nature. You look at the states that had slavery, that was big in slavery: Alabama, Mississippi, West Virginia. Once you took away that economic form, they're some of the poorest states in the United States. They still haven't rebounded. So if those states haven't rebounded, what do you think that black people at? We haven't rebounded either. We haven't came close in financially, mentally, and everything else. So what we're trying to say is, we're in a systematic racism situation. We understand. We're not dumb. And that's the part that black people are trying to project out to people. We know what's going on. All of us know what's going on. We've been knew what was going on. We don't have a voice for it, but we're not dumb. You can't just tell us anything or show something in the media and stuff and think that we're going along with it. We might laugh and act like we are. We're not. We understand what's going on. We understand what's been going on. And we're united in that point. So we're like, hey, the cat's out the bag. We understand what's going on. Can we get some help in fixing the situation? And that's what this is all about. We want, at this point now, we're looking to say, hey, we get some policies, get something going on to kind of fix what you never fixed. You never addressed it. We've never addressed it one time. So name a time we addressed it.
I mean, we've definitely we've addressed it in short spurts, and like we were just saying, you could see it going back to a year, in a year that the police officers wouldn't have that, and people wouldn't.
Well, we're not. Here's the thing: we getting hung up on police officers, but we're not on protest right now because of the George Floyd situation. Everybody thinks is that. No,
it didn't happen. It didn't happen until that.
That was the camp that broke the straw back.
You didn't get white people, Mexican people, and all these people together and marching and protesting because Colin Kaepernick took a knee. And, basically what he did was piss a lot of people off.
A lot of people are using that situation in other ways that's not actually, I'm not going to say benefiting us, but not actually what our cause is. Because they don't want to address our cause. Our cause is systematic racism, period. That's what we want to address. Nobody wants to address that because we're in a system that's made a lot of money and a lot of controlling aspects of it because of it. And nobody wants to address that. But we also understand that there's hundreds of black people dying in Chicago. A life is a life to us. We care about them all. What we're saying is, yes, we're protesting with George Floyd. We want that to stop. But more importantly, we want systematic racism to stop. That solves everything. That solves the economic problem. That solves the police problem. That solves a lot of other things that we're trying to erase.
So how do we erase systematic racism?
we had to go back and we had to fix some things that we just never fixed. And that's going to come from the top. That's nothing that,
Well,
like I said,
what's the top? You said when it comes from the top, what's the top?
The top is our government, the way our country is ran and stuff. You don't have no control over that. You're just a taxpayer, just like I am. You know what I mean? For the most part. For the most part, when it comes to talking about things like reparations and things of that nature, that's when you see white people getting very upset and angry and things of that nature. And you see that come out because the structure of even the economic system in America has changed and stuff. Look at, we got Jeff Bezos, he's worth what? 78, 90 billion? Like, we didn't have that in the 60s, in the 50s. You had white people that had factory jobs that were managers and they were doing well. And, you know, they were happy. They were doing better than black people and things of that nature. And they were down. Now they have to show talent or work just as hard as everybody else. They're having the same economic struggles that other people are having. The rich is getting richer. Middle class is getting erased. The poor is getting poorer. And they're thrown in that same situation. So they're being, you know, a little more protective over that. When everybody's doing good economically, even racism, everything kind of slows down a little bit. You know what I mean? You're in the, it's a slope where everybody's doing good. Now, if it's a slope where everybody at the top's doing very good and the bottom's just shot down the bottom, you're going to have turmoil. I don't care what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, we don't have that even kill no more. Like, that was the 60s and 70s, you know what I mean? Where, you know, white, you know, even white people, like I said, you go out and be a manager of a factory or things of that nature, you get paid well, you're middle class. You had that. Now, like I said, the tech bubble, all this stuff is going down. You know, a lot of people are not trained in that. A lot of people are not, expert entrepreneurs and things of that nature that's making money these days. And they're seeing a switch in America in skills, and it's making a lot of people uneasy. And what you want to do then is you take it out on other people.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same. It's the same with white people. I mean, I agree with everything that you just said. But at the same time, it's, you know, that is the same with white people.
Well, I was saying it for white people.
Down.
I'm saying, you know,
and because there's a lot of bad white neighborhoods. You know, there's not just black neighborhoods that are bad.
No. I think everybody's going. And here's the situation: if you can't, this is how we think as black people. If you can't make a power decision as a white person, yes, you have. We say that you have privilege because of your skin, and what we mean by that is you're just not going to be judged as soon as you walk through the door. As soon as I walk through the door, no matter where I'm at, if it's white or brown, they're gonna make an assumption right away just because of my color. Like little 12-year-olds, like, oh my gosh, chocolate. You know what I mean? Like, it's the stuff, the dumbest thing in the world.
Let's not say everybody's gonna make that assumption or think.
They're gonna make some assumption. Everybody's gonna make some assumption.
My assumption as soon as this started is, man, you look sharp. That was my assumption. It wasn't that you're black.
Oh, that's here. And that's one person, you know me. But let's say you were in a room just having coffee and 15 black people walked in. You're gonna make some kind of mental assumption in your head.
Run.
That 15 white people walked in. Not negative or not positive. You're gonna make an assumption, is what I'm saying, because you see a color. And that's the part where we say by privilege. We're saying if 15 white people walked in, you're not gonna make that much assumption. You're gonna, okay, we're at a coffee shop in River Road.
It depends on what they look like. If, you know, I mean, if 15 bikers walked in or 15.
Well, yeah, I get it. But let's say, I mean, a black person don't look like a biker. A black person, he's a human. He just has a different skin color. You know what I mean? So so I'm just saying you're gonna see positive or negative. It could be positive, but you're gonna think a certain way off just color alone. And let's just be honest about it. You know, we're here, you know, if we're friends to have a truthful conversation. So that's what we mean by white privilege. We just mean that you're not never getting judged by your skin tone because of that.
I think in the same thing though is that some black people or persons would judge and feel a certain kind of way if 15 black people walked in.
No.
I would tell you right now. Unfortunately, I was hoping that Offset was going to be able to join us tonight, and he just the last minute couldn't. I would tell you right now that it's a true statement and it may not be a true statement for you, but it is a true statement for some black people. That, you know, they are going to feel different if 15 gangbangers walk in. Whether they're
when a black person is not a gangbanger.
I just said whether they're white or they're black or they're Chinese or they're people. If they come in looking a certain way, regardless of their color, any human is going to feel a certain way.
I get it. I'm telling you that if you're a white person in a coffee shop in River Oaks and 15 black people walk in t-shirts, t-shirts not a game banger, just a t-shirt,
Okay.
you're gonna make a assumption. It might not be a dangerous assumption, things of that nature, but you're gonna be like, oh man, 15 black people walked in. It's gonna that's what's gonna say in your head.
Mhm.
Wow, 15 black people walked in. Nice or indifferent, something like that, you're gonna think that right away.
It would be out. If 15 black people walk in at a rap concert when I'm with Migos, then no, I wouldn't feel that way. You're right. If I'm in River Oaks and 15 black people walked in, that would be out of place, and so I would.
Why is that out of place? Is what we're saying. We black people go to River Oaks coffee shops all the time. That's what I'm saying. That's why we say white privilege, because no matter where you go, it doesn't equate like that. You can go to any coffee shop you want. 15 of you guys can walk in, and that's fine. For us, if it's River Oaks is a problem, even though I can afford to go anywhere River Oaks, most of my friends can too. So it's
it just would be unusual. It would be unusual, because it just would.
Yeah. And when the usualness comes, some people it's not like you. Sometimes when stuff is unusual to somebody, it breeds fear, and fear can breed danger, and that's why you get that whole thing that we're saying now about Karens and all that. That's where that comes from.
Right.
That unusual fear, and then she's on the phone with a cop, and then you get a situation that's going on. And that's where that's all coming from.
We got to take a 15-second break, and we'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? It's Randy Couture. I'm gonna give a shout out to CJ Sky. Watch CJ Sky's new show, CJ Sky Live, on YouTube, iTunes. For more information, follow CJ Sky Live on Instagram. Be well.
Man, I hate that commercial. It shows pictures of me from 10 years ago, and I get to see how old I've gotten. So I would like to ask you about your opinion. We're talking about years and years of having, of struggles and battles for you guys. You had a powerful outlet in NCAACP. What is your feeling on the organization?
Well, here's the thing. We don't really fund our own organization, so it's difficult to get full. Black people in the whole we're not happy with our leadership. Let's just tell the truth. We're really not. We haven't been happy with our leadership for a while.
Us either.
I think and this is internal stuff. When I talk about this stuff, it has nothing to do with white people at all. This is stuff that we have to fix.